Hello friends, this is your last week of heavy-duty mathematic lifting. Next week we'll have a nice little closure activity, but use this week to get caught up on any of the work you haven't turned in yet. Remember, you're really looking for that 70% to move your grade up, or constant participation to maintain your grade. We have two objectives. We're going to write the equation for a circle, and we're going to complete the square and be able to graph a circle based on completing the square. We begin by remembering what the circle function looks like. X minus h squared plus y minus k squared equals r squared. How we're going to write the equation is, instead of having the equation and having to pull the information out, I have the information, I'm going to plug it in. And by plug it in, of course, we mean substitute. So we're going to write our skeleton first. So we're going to write the pieces of the function that don't change. So these are all the pieces that don't change. H and k and r are variables that will change in this function, as you saw when you were graphing the circles last week. Then we go over and we identify from the circle that the first value is h and the second value is k. So just like the alphabet, X comes before Y, H comes before K. What we will do then is we will pick up the H value and plug it in next to the X, and we will pick up the K value and plug it in next to the Y. The last thing that we were going to do is plug in R. So we substitute the 3 for R. Now what we want to do is we want to simplify this equation a little bit. Since x minus 0 is just x, we're going to have x squared plus y minus 4 squared, and then 3 squared is 9. There you go. You're done. Let's do the next one together. Set up your skeleton first. Label H and K. So H is a negative term. So in my formula here, x minus, I'm going to substitute in -1. I'm going to substitute 5 for my K value and 7 for R. What does a minus negative turn into? Well, that's why we do the simplification step. And here is our equation of our circle. Go ahead and pause the video and count to 10 and see if you can write the next equation. Did you get what I got? Did you remember that the negative from the formula and a negative from the term gives you a positive? If you did, you're great. We're going to reflect back to 2 weeks ago when we were multiplying and factoring special products. So we had the special product of a negative and a positive, and our B value was eliminated. So we're not going to be talking about that one. I just wanted to remind you of that because that's what most people think about when we talk about special products. Instead, we're talking about the special products where both of the constants are the same. So 3 is a constant for both of these problems. I want to remind you that the linear term is 2 times whatever your constant was. I have F for factor, and the number on the end is the square of whatever your constant was. And in this case, the constant was 3. So here is that constant value. My goal is to be able to write x plus some number squared. So let's give this a shot. Here we have x squared plus 8x plus something. I know this middle value is 2 times the constant. Well, if I have 8, how do I go back from 2 times? I'm going to divide by 2, In this case, I'm going to write 1/2 of 8. 1/2 of 8 is 4, and this is called completing the square, so I'm going to square 4, and that goes here. What I can do now is I can write this group of values, this expression, as x plus 4 squared, thus completing the square. Where did I get the 4 from? Right here. So keep track of where that constant term is coming from. Same thing here with y. So I have y plus 20y plus something. I'm going to take half of 20, and that's 10. And then what do we do to complete the square? We square it. So then I have 100. That gives me x plus, now what number do I put into my parentheses? And it's not x, it's y. What number do I put into my parentheses? Do I put in 20, 10, or 100? 10 is correct, not because it's the smallest value, but because it's half of the linear term. Okay, so now it's going to get fun. This is what it's going to look like when you actually complete the square in a circle. The assignment for this week is just this. Pretty straightforward. And then on your quiz, you're going to have a couple questions like this. Okay, what's different about this problem than the ones we just did? There's two things. X and Y are both in the problem and an equal sign. I'm now working with an equation. Previously, I wasn't working with an equation. I was just using an expression. What do we have to remember when we do equations? Anything that happens on one side of the equation has to happen on the other to keep the equation balanced. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to split this kind of. I want my x values over here, and I want to leave a blank. And I want my y values here, and I want to leave a blank. And then I'm going to insert 2 blanks on the right side. They're going to correspond to the values that I'm adding on the left side. Because I'm going to be adding terms on the left side, I have to add those same terms on the right. So let's do this. We're going to take half of 4, which is 2, and square it. 2 squared is 4. This number is going to go here, because if I add 4 to the left, I have to add 4 to the right. Do the same thing with y. 1/2 of 8 is 4. Complete the square. You get 16. So this 16 has to also go over here to keep your equation balanced. Now we write x plus 2 squared plus y plus 4 squared, and that equals 20. Where's the center of my circle? It looks like the center is at 2, 4, but we know, because there's a minus in the formula for a circle, that this value we see is actually going to be the opposite of the h value. So my center is actually at -2, -4, and my radius is the square root of 20. Let's do that again. So we'll have x squared plus 12x plus something plus y squared plus 6y plus something, and that's going to equal the values that I added to the x and y. What do I do with 12? You take half of 12, which gives you 6, and you complete the square, so that's 36. If you do it on the left side, you do it on the right side. I'm going to take half of 6, and I'm going to complete the square, And any number I put on the left side, I put on the right side. And now I simplify. X plus something squared, y plus something squared equals 45. I want you to try and fill in that x and y first. There's a whole bunch of moving parts here. Can you find the ones we need? The x value, the value that's going to go next to the x is the 6, and the y value, the value that's going to go next to the y, is the 3. Where's the center of my circle? It's at -6, -3, and my radius is the square root of 45. Neat. That's all there is to it. So when you see the quiz, and it looks like this. So here's what your quiz looks like. You're going to graph some circles. You're going to write the equations for some circles. You're going to graph some more circles, fractions, because they're fun. And then you're going to complete the square. So you're going to have to complete the square with these problems. And then you've got you're going to have 2 bonus questions at the bottom that you need to do. One more thing real quick, because I just saw that when I went over your quiz. Let's say you have x squared plus 18x minus 20 equals 4 minus y squared minus 4y. How are you going to take care of this? You need all of your x's and y's on the left. You need all the constants on the right. So here's how we do this. I need to move my constant to the right side. I need to move my variables to the left side. So there goes my 20. There goes the y squared and the 4y. And I'm left with x squared plus 18x plus y squared plus 4y equals 24. Now I can solve my problem. You're gonna need that when you do your quiz. Please refer back to the video as many times as you need to, and if you get really stuck, give me a call or send me an email. Okie dokie. So have a good week, and I'll talk to you next week.